Hi everyone, this is Dr. Liz Popelka-Brown, and I am here to walk you through a little bit of how the final project fits into the course and how your first milestone assignment, which will be due next week, falls into that final project. And I know a lot of you have probably already been here, but just in case some of you haven't yet, I'm on the Start Here page of the course. And I am going to scroll down to where it says Course Introduction Infographic. And I'm not going to go through all of this. I'm just going to go to the most relevant piece for this particular video. And that is the part right here about the final project. So as you can see, the final project is a research study report. And the intention for this week 1, Module 1, is to select an appropriate study from the provided list that you were given. So let's find that provided list. So I'm going to go back here to Start Here, and I'm going to go to Module 1 because we are now in Week 1, and I'm going to go to Readings and Resources tab. And under the Reading and Resources tab, you see this FAQ, where do I find suggested articles for MAT 133? And there they are, all of the articles from which you can choose to write your final paper. And this first assignment, which again will be due next week, week 2. I strongly suggest you pick one that is interesting to you. You're going to be stuck with it for the better part of 2 months, right? So each of these articles, all you do to take a look at it is you just click on the link and it'll take you right into each article. It shouldn't normally take this long. Wait for it. Here we go. Okay, so this is where you actually get the actual articles. So again, the list, click on any of those links and it will take you to the article that goes along with that link. So you're going to choose one of those articles that you are going to use for your final project. And let's see what we're going to do with it in Week 1. So if I go back to Week 1, or Module 1, if you're navigating through the course, down at the bottom of the list of assignments, you'll see this one for extra help discussion. So this is, obviously it says non-graded, so that means that it's not mandatory. But this is a place where you can get started brainstorming, thinking about some strategies that you might use as you start to develop your first assignment that will be due next week. Again, it's not graded, but it's been incredibly helpful to students in the past for you to pose any questions you have, concerns, strategies, kind of think through. Your fellow peers and I will all provide feedback so that we can be set up for success the best as possible. So that is the portion that is really centered around Week 1, is choosing the article you'd like to read or that you'd like to use, and posting, if you would like, in that non-graded discussion. The assignment, the first assignment, Milestone 1, will actually be due in Week 2. So I'm going to navigate to Module 2. And so the big idea behind the milestone assignments is that you're actually turning in advance pieces of your final paper so that you can get feedback from me, from your fellow students, so that you can make this final project paper the best that it can possibly be. And once you have done that milestone, assignment 1, I'm going to go right here you'll see there's 2 different places for you to upload that paper. So obviously the word that's probably jumping out to us here is optional. Sorry, by the way, for the background noise, guys. They're doing some construction on the street, in case you can hear that right now. So it says optional. So it says use this Dropbox, to submit your milestone if you would like to receive instructor feedback. So if you would like feedback specifically from me, that is where you're going to upload it. And again, that one is optional. The one that's actually for a grade, that will be graded, is right here, final project milestone submission 1. And if you click on the link, you will see that it's actually a discussion board. So you'll start a new thread. You'll say, my milestone 1 submission or whatever you want to for this subject. And notice in the directions that it says attach your milestone submission. So that doesn't mean copy and paste your submission here in the text box. By all means, put some stuff in the text box if you want. Maybe there are specific things you would like people to comment on. Maybe there is a specific topic that you wanted to make sure you covered in your paper. You don't necessarily have to put anything there, but you certainly can. But you need to make sure that you actually physically attach a copy of your paper right here in the Add Attachment section. So again, you can use this section to type out any kind of message to the class that you want, but make sure that you are adding the attachment here. So it would probably be a good idea to see what it is exactly that you're going to attach, right? So I'm going to click here on the milestone 1, guidelines and rubric. And as you can see, here's another place that you can get the provided list of articles. It's embedded in a link here inside of there. And then there's also an outline of what is expected for the first part of your paper. Basically the introduction section of your research study report. So you'll notice in the prompt, it asks you for the introduction piece. It asks you 3 specific questions. So to identify the specific focus of the research, describe specific characteristics of the population, and evaluate the research questions of your chosen study. Each of those 3 sections should be a good, healthy paragraph long. As you can see down here where it says guidelines for submission, it should be 1 page in length. So if you're answering each of those 3 questions, those 3 questions need to total up to about a page. So 3 really good paragraphs total. So 1 good paragraph a question. You'll also see that it says plus a cover page and references must be written in APA format. So you do need a cover page, and then anything that you do reference needs to be in APA format. I will attach a link for some helpful information to help you with the formatting. Seriously, nothing crazy whatsoever. It's gonna be okay. I know APA can be a little scary to people, but I have resources for you for that. And it also tells you the specifics as far as the spacing, the font, margins, all of that is there for you. So please make sure that you are looking at that before you submit it. Make sure it meets those guidelines. A colleague of mine here at SNHU has done a wonderful thing, which is actually create a sample paper. So I'm going to be attaching that to this post as well, so you can have a really good idea of a model to go by. He puts really helpful comments. It's a pretty fantastic thing he's done. So we really appreciate that. So that sample will be there for you to see. And then some other specifics, just basic mechanical stuff as far as the submission. This tends to catch people a little bit off guard sometimes because all of your assignment submissions for this first week were due on Sunday. But this assignment, which again will be due next week, week 2, is actually due on Thursday. The reason for that is because this is a discussion board. Obviously, you need to make your initial post so that people have time to respond to it before the Sunday deadline. So you need to upload your copy of your milestone 1 by Thursday at 11:59 p.m. of your local time zone. And then another portion of your grade is your replies. So as you can see here, you need to make sure that you reply to at least 2 different classmates outside of your own initial post by Sunday. So for example, I upload my introduction. Somebody makes a comment about my introduction. My comment to their comment doesn't count. I need to make sure that I reply to at least 2 different introductions for other students in my class. And of course, more than 2, that's great. I mean, the more the better, of course. We're all here to learn from each other. And the more you participate in that discussion, the more relevant and helpful it's going to be for all of us. And along that same vein, of course, we're looking for substantive, oh my gosh, that was did not come out very well. Feedback that's really meaningful instead of just saying things like I agree or I disagree. Make sure that you're giving them really good, specific feedback about why you think that you agree or disagree, for example. Okay, and finally, I wanted to talk to you about the rubric, which is right down here at the bottom. This is exactly the same document that I use to grade. When you look at your assignment and you look at your grade, you'll see that I've electronically either filled in, this section, or this section of the rubric for your particular assignment. So just a couple of things to point out very quickly is that for the first three sections, these are the sections that focus on whether or not you basically addressed the prompt fully and accurately. So as long as you've got a paragraph for each of those questions, this one for the most part is pretty good to go. You'll notice that it says for needs improvement, the difference is going to be identify, for example, proficient accurately identifies the specific focus of the research versus needs improvement, which is identifies the focus of the research but is not fully accurate or is not specific. So within a paragraph, that should give you enough space to really be specific. Make sure that you've given me all the details that you can that are relevant about what the study is about. In the same vein, as far as the next category, the population, make sure that you're telling me, not fully accurate, or lacks, it's still not specific. So maybe, for example, you told me that the group was selected by gender, but you neglected to tell me that, they were college students or whatever. As specific as possible. And then I would say for the research question, the most common error that people make is that they'll say exactly what the study, they discuss the research questions and tell what the hypothesis is, but they don't actually evaluate the research question. That is what has a tendency to make it, from needs improvement to proficient. So remember, evaluating, you are telling me whether or not you believe that whether or not it's significant. Frankly, there's research out there that some people might argue is not very significant. And maybe this is one of those studies, or maybe it is very significant. Maybe that's why we chose it and it's on the list. Who knows? That is up to you to make that judgment. That is your evaluation, okay? I'm not going to judge you based on your evaluation, but it is going to be judged on whether or not it's there. So again, don't just tell me what the research question was. Make sure that you're telling me whether or not you believe it's a significant research question and hypothesis. That's definitely where people miss the most points. Finally, articulation of response. This is pretty, easy to discern, making sure that you don't have major errors related to citations, grammar, etc. The Writing Center at SNHU is wonderful. I am going to remind you of the link to that as well. That's a helpful place to go if you're concerned that you might need some help with your writing. And you can find additional help. I've gone back to our course. If you go through, you look at the modules down here where it says academic support, and upload a paper for written feedback is a great place. Obviously, I'm a great source for feedback too. I'm going to be completely upfront with you though. I am not a writing teacher. My expertise is in mathematics, and so I am going to be able to help you all day long about that. But if you're specifically worried about certain aspects of your writing, this is definitely going to be a good place for you to go. There are people who that is actually their job to help you in order to be able to make your writing the best that you can. So it's a great resource that you should definitely take advantage of if you feel like you need it. Okay, and then finally, back to the rubric one more time. So the timeliness is pretty self-explanatory. You did it on time or you didn't. Engagement, peer feedback. So this is where we are Making sure that we've provided the responses to peers that we are required to, and again, that those posts are relevant and meaningful, that you actually add something to it. Hey, this is really great, but maybe have you thought about this? That kinds of things, not just good job, that's great. Not the way to do it. Make sure you're putting something that is very relevant and helpful and that will add meaning to that person's work. And then finally, there's also the writing aspect of your posts. Pretty self-explanatory again, that they're easily understood, clear, and concise. If you do happen to use citations, making sure that you are using those appropriately. And I think that pretty much sums it up. You will find that I am extremely available. I respond back very quickly. This video was only meant to be kind of an overview of the milestone. You're gonna see that I'm also have made a video that describes a lot more in detail. If you're just kind of worried about how to get started with this project, I am going to provide a video to help you with that too, using a couple of tools that are provided by SNHU. So you can check out that video as well. But as for the overview, I think that does it. But if there's questions I haven't answered, again, please do not hesitate to reach out. It's what I'm here for, and it's what I love doing. So I look forward to hearing you guys soon.